Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is my spoiler review for The Force Awakens. As you can see, you're not seeing my face this time, you're just seeing me, images and me talking over them. So, obviously these images aren't owned by me, so hopefully, it should be fine. But yeah, I saw The Last Jedi a second time, and I still liked it. Quite a lot, actually. In fact, I probably liked it quite a bit, even more than I liked it the first time I saw it. Now, I'm not going to say the movie's perfect, because it's not. There are some legitimate issues with the film, some of which I plan to go into in this spoiler review section. But all in all, I still legitimately think it is a really fun movie that obviously all the actors were invested in, and I did appreciate, like I said, that it generally did do its own thing that actually sort of built on, actually did attempt to sort of, add to the Star Wars mythos that was already there, and, question some of our, presumptions about the Star Wars universe. And frankly, with a series that's been around this long, and obviously we're going to be getting a lot of Star Wars movies from here on out, you kind of have to do it. Now, I understand there are a few things about the movie that some people might have been a little disappointed on. I myself was a little bit disappointed on Luke Skywalker's death. Now, I didn't mind that he died, per se. I thought that the way that which he went out could have been handled a little bit better. Now, it was really cool to actually see him one more time sort of semi-face off against Kylo Ren, although it wasn't really a real lightsaber duel. But of course, it then turned out to just be a hologram. And it turns out Luke was actually on Ach-To the whole time, projecting himself across the galaxy to ward off Kylo Ren, so that what was remaining of the Resistance, Leia and Rey and Finn and Poe, all those folks could escape onto the Millennium Falcon. I wasn't disappointed that Luke's character had to die, had to go. It makes sense. He's an old man at this point. He's sort of ready to pass the torch, I feel like, to the next generation. His story, I feel like, really started with Episode 4 and ended with Episode 6. So this really isn't his story anymore. I get that. I just wish, he had gone out. I would have liked to see him have, like, an actual, like, gone out more in a blaze of glory. Like, actually have a legitimate, like, lightsaber. Actually have been there on the planet Crate, instead of sitting on his little rock shrine thing on the island. That was one of my bigger disappointments of how that was handled. Now, it wasn't like so disappointing to me that it like ruined it by any stretch of the word. I just felt like that instance could have been handled a little bit better, because like Luke Skywalker, like, he's a character that I and millions of people, grown up with, and sort of saw him as a role model. It was a little heartbreaking seeing him go, I won't lie. But that itself isn't, like, the issue. I mean, it's good to have those, sort of moments where, you don't know who's gonna last, It's sort of, it can create some tension. Obviously, Luke, it was a little more expected than, say, if Finn or Poe had died. That would have been a little more unexpected. And there was a second in the movie where I thought Finn was gonna sacrifice himself when he's, like, launching his little ship into, like, the Death Star thing, mini Death Star cannon thing that's firing at the door on Crate. That would have been interesting. I mean, I'm glad that they kept his character alive on some level, because I do like his character, and I would have liked to see more character development than I felt like we got in this movie, despite still enjoying his character and enjoying the performance. But it still would have created some more tension had they done that. I also want to talk about Captain Phasma. Just what happened there? So, Captain Phasma was like there in The Force Awakens, then she was tossed down a trash compactor, I guess, and then she's back in The Last Jedi for like 10-15 minutes, really for the sole purpose of having sort of a mano-a-mano fight with Finn. It's sort of like a... And it doesn't last too long, and it is a cool fight, and I do like, the dialogue between them. It's just like, why couldn't we have gotten more Phasma in this movie? Better yet, why did they have to kill her off right away? I mean, they introduce her, like, 2/3 of the way through the movie, she's gone. It's just, I would have liked to see them do a better job with that. Phasma could have been handled a little bit better. And it's already been talked about to death, but the Canto Bight scene definitely felt superfluous. Now, I actually did enjoy some of the sequences there. It's just that, I don't know, part of the environment felt a little out of place for Star Wars. I don't know, it almost felt like they were walking onto the set of a James Bond movie. They even got like a James Bond-ish English guy who's like, "Hey, I'm Anna Rolas, honey," or something like that. And Finn and Rose are, trying to find this hacker played by Benicio del Toro. Now, I enjoyed the escape sequence. It was fun, and I liked that, but I don't know. I felt like had it been done there, they could have done a better job, or better yet, they could have scrapped the sequence and focused more on Luke and Rey's, relationship. Now, like I said, these are sort of my bigger gripes with the film, and of course, my other gripe is literally a little more personal, but I kind of wanted there to be, like, an actual lightsaber fight. I don't know, Star Wars just doesn't really feel complete without having an actual lightsaber fight, I guess. But all in all, this because this is spoilers, I'm getting more in depth onto some of my issues with the movie. I'm not trying to nitpick it too much. I'm trying to sort of balance things out because I felt like I talked more about the positives in my spoiler-free review. But of course, overall, I did still really enjoy this movie, and I definitely will buy it when it comes out, and I look forward to Episode 9. I feel like it's hard to please Star Wars fans because it's sort of, when they do something that's, too much of a homage to what they like, then, there's going to be a certain segment of the fan base that's going to be disappointment, whereas when they go in the other direction and take risk and do something different, then of course other people will feel a little alienated. So it does feel like it's hard to please everyone. I guess I myself just try to look at every movie, look at what it's trying to do, look at, how well made of a film is it, like, how is the acting and the cinematography, and how well does it, give us the message that it's trying to get. And overall, I thought The Last Jedi had a lot going for it. The acting was great. Like, they were all just really enthusiastic. Mark Hamill, especially, even though for last time, and we didn't get to see him, really do too much, just seeing Luke Skywalker again, just seeing this, character who's, so disheveled and so, like, feels so... He's lost faith in the Jedi, and I know some people feel like this is out of character for Luke Skywalker, but this is, like, more than, 30 years after Return of the Jedi. A lot's happened since then, and I kind of, I can get where he's coming from, especially when you actually do think about, some of the stuff he says regarding, like, the Jedi, because, and I know, please don't burn me at the stake, but the prequel trilogy, kind of gives off the impression that the Jedi really were kind of incompetent and sometimes even unsympathetic and inhuman and difficult to relate to. So it's hard to really blame Luke for feeling this way, especially after having this falling out with I guess Han and Leia after what happened with Kylo Ren. And that's the other issue that I know some people say, oh, well, he saw goodness in Darth Vader, but he saw a little bit of dark in Kylo Ren. You're right, to some extent. That is something I'm still thinking about, but you also have to remember he decided to not kill him. Luke put his lightsaber down, or attempted to. He decided, like, after a fleeting moment, that he wouldn't kill Kylo Ren, so he realized his mistake, only he realized it a little too late. And that's part of what makes these characters human, is more relatable, is that they're not perfect, I feel. Like, that's why, the prequel trilogy, a lot of the Jedi seem too perfect, whereas the original trilogy, like, there were character flaws, even amongst the heroes, like, especially in Empire Strikes Back, particularly. They're not perfect people, and, they're gonna make mistakes, and you know, it's how you. I mean, obviously, characters have to overcome their mistakes, and if they didn't make mistakes, you know, they wouldn't be relatable. So, I don't really have a huge issue with that. I don't know if I articulated my point across well. But I don't know. I really loved Mark Hamill's performance. I thought he did a really good job, and you know, it was the Luke Skywalker I had wanted to see in The Force Awakens, and I finally got to see him. So I can't complain too much about that. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about is Leia. Now, I actually thought Carrie Fisher, like I said, gave a really nice performance as Leia, and it really was sort of heartbreaking to see, knowing, you know, that this is the last, you know, movie I'm ever going to see her in. But I really did think that she really did pour her heart and soul into it, and even though she's comatose for a good chunk of the movie, she still feels central to the narrative and what's going on. I know, like, Holdo, Laura Dern's character, and I think Laura Dern's a really good performer. I didn't think Holdo was a super interesting character. I thought Leia, even the minimal parts that she had, definitely left much more of a lasting impression for me. And, I mean, it was great to see that. The scene that's sort of become infamous now is the scene where she sort of becomes Superman and flies out of, like basically a TIE fighter blows up the ship that she's in, or like the part of the ship that she's in, and she flies out into space and seems to be dead at first, but then uses the Force to like sort of fly back into her ship, or maybe, you know, she's, you know, using the Force to get the ship to come to her. I mean, it's space, it's kind of hard to tell. And yeah, it can seem a little silly, but on the other hand, I do know that from a little bit of the stuff I've read in the expanded universe that the Force can do some pretty crazy stuff. And it was, you know, interesting to actually see Leia use the Force at least once, because we've never seen that in a Star Wars film, and now it's going to be the last time. And, you know, just seeing her use the Force, doing something, you know, that frankly I actually thought was kind of cool. You know, I don't really mind that. It was just cool to see it, and see, you know, the kind of power that the Force has. Even same with the sort of Luke creating the hologram. I mean, it's cool that the Force can do that. Never seen that done before. And also just the point that Luke makes that the Force is, you know, everything. It's not just, you know, in the Jedi, it's all living things, which is something that Obi-Wan mentioned as far back as A New Hope. And all the things that and I know this might have sounded like it was a bit of a nitpicky review, spoiler review. I mean, that's kind of the point of the spoiler review, but for me at least, to go more in depth on some of the things I didn't quite like. But the film has so much more going for it, I feel, as a standalone movie. Has amazing action sequences. The finale was far better than The Force Awakens, and everything in between. Like, all the action sequences are great. I thought the acting was really good. Like I said, Daisy Ridley, I just think she's a really good protagonist and just a really good performer, and she did a good job. Adam Driver is finally got to see him take over as like the big bad guy. He kills Snoke, which I didn't really mind too much because Snoke was kind of a, you know, a dumb character anyway, so they got rid of him. Now Kylo really feels like his own character, not just a pawn of anyone else. And Mark Hamill and all the other actors, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, even Benicio del Toro, whose character was sort of pointless, still did a good job. And, you know, the practical mixed with the CG, which I thought they did a good job of too. I mean, the movie overall, despite its issues, had a lot of really good things to make it far from bad. Like, I think it's a pretty good movie on its own merits, and I definitely felt like I got my money's worth, at least. And now that's not to say that, you know, if you did not like this movie, that's fine. We all have different tastes in movies. You know, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I mean, that's the point of art. We all see it differently, and it's part of what makes it fun. We can all sort of have a conversation about, you know, why we liked it or why we didn't like it. And, you know, I've watched and enjoyed I've read a lot of, you know, people who did not like this movie and, you know, given perfectly legitimate reasons for why they didn't like them. You know, it didn't change my perspective, and I'm sure if you didn't like this movie, what I say won't change yours. And like I said, I acknowledge that the film had issues. I mean, for me, at the end of the day, the real Star Wars story starts with Episode 4, A New Hope, and ends with Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Like, really everything apart from that, I could almost say is pointless. Like, so, given that, I feel like they might as well, you know, take some risk and do something, you know, try to do something different. Not like, you know, Jar Jar Binks different. We don't need any more of that. But, like, actually try to find something that hasn't really been done or talked about before in a Star Wars movie. And, you know, some of it paid off and some of it didn't. Overall, I think it paid off. But that's just me. I really enjoyed The Last Jedi. I'm glad I saw it twice in the theaters. I'm probably not going to see it a third time. I've got other movies I want to watch, and, you know, I'm going to buy it on DVD anyway. But yeah, I just wanted to share some of my spoiler thoughts on The Last Jedi. Tell me what you think. If you disagree with me, let me know. I don't know. Nonetheless, thank you for watching my video and listening to me ramble for a little bit. And yeah, hope you check out my other videos.